Doctors call it early. Your family calls it a scare. Everyone around you treats it like something almost went wrong. But here's the part almost nobody tells you. Your baby wasn't early by accident. Your baby sent a signal, and your body listened. You probably think labor starts because the mother's body just runs out of room or hits some kind of internal timer. 9 months, done. Baby comes out. That's the story most of us grow up believing. But that's not actually how it works. And the truth is stranger and honestly a lot more incredible. The real trigger for labor doesn't come from the mother at all. It comes from the baby. And once you understand how that signal works, an 8-month birth stops looking like a mistake. It starts looking like a decision. For most of human history, we assumed the mother's body called the shots. She goes into labor when she's ready, whatever that meant. Doctors, midwives, even entire medical textbooks treated pregnancy like a countdown clock sitting inside the mother, as if her body alone decided when the 9 months were up. But in the 1990s, a physiologist named Roger Smith started digging into something odd. He was studying a hormone called CRH, corticotropin-releasing hormone, and he noticed it was showing up in a strange place. Normally, CRH is made in the brain, in tiny amounts, mostly involved in how we respond to stress. But during pregnancy, it was pouring out of a completely different organ, the placenta. And the amount wasn't random. It climbed week after week on a curve so consistent that Smith realized he could predict almost to the day when a woman would go into labor, just by tracking her CRH levels months in advance, sometimes as early as 16 weeks. Not a rough estimate, a number that behaved like a countdown. That alone should have been strange enough, but then came the twist that changed everything. The placenta isn't really the mother's tissue. Genetically, it's built from the same cells as the embryo, meaning it carries the baby's DNA, not the mother's. So when CRH climbs and climbs and finally crosses a threshold, it's not the mother's body quietly deciding, time's up. It's a message written by the baby's own genetic material, ticking down towards one single moment. The moment it tells the mother's body, I'm ready, let me out. So why would a baby ever send that signal at 8 months instead of waiting the full 9? To answer that, you have to zoom out, because the real story isn't really about early babies at all. It's about what makes human pregnancy strange compared to almost every other species on the planet. Compare us to our closest relatives. A chimpanzee is born with a brain that's already about 40% of its adult size, ready to cling to its mother and start moving within hours. A human baby is born with a brain that's only around 25% of its adult size, floppy, helpless, unable to even hold its own head up. We are, biologically speaking, kicked out of the womb far earlier than any other primate, relative to how finished our brains are.
Anthropologists call this the obstetric dilemma. Roughly 2 million years ago, our ancestors started walking upright on 2 legs, which meant the pelvis had to narrow to support that new posture efficiently. At the exact same time, evolution was pushing human brains to get bigger and bigger, because bigger brains meant better tool use, better social cooperation, better survival. Those 2 trends were on a direct collision course, a narrower birth canal and a bigger head trying to fit through it. The compromise evolution landed on was almost elegant in its simplicity. Get the baby out before the head gets too big to fit, and finish building the brain afterward, out here in the world, instead of inside the womb. That's why some researchers describe the first 3 months after birth as a 4th trimester. Compared to almost every other mammal, every single human baby is born a little premature. We just don't call it that because it's the norm for our entire species. Now stretch that idea one step further. If the whole system is already tuned to deliver a brain that's still under construction, then the exact week labor starts was never fixed in stone to begin with. It's a range, not a fixed date. And that CRH clock in the placenta isn't just counting days in a vacuum, it's responding to real-time conditions. Stress hormones, inflammation, how well the placenta itself is functioning, even the mother's nutrition. All of it can nudge that clock faster or slower. An 8-month birth very often means the placenta signal crossed the threshold a little sooner than average, sometimes because the environment it was sensing, through the mother's stress levels, her blood flow, her immune activity, told it that sooner was the safer bet than later. Here's the part that surprises most parents. That early signal isn't a system failing. In a large number of cases, it's actually a system protecting itself. Think about what the placenta is really built to do. It's not just a feeding tube. It behaves almost like a sensor, constantly monitoring the environment the baby is living in. Oxygen levels, blood flow, signs of infection, signs of stress. If it starts detecting real strain, reduced blood flow, certain infections, the mother's blood pressure climbing into dangerous territory, or even chronic stress hormones building up over weeks, the fastest way to protect that baby often isn't to wait it out. It's to get the baby into a world where doctors, incubators, and monitors can help, instead of staying in an environment that's slowly becoming less safe. Late preterm birth, the kind that lands around 34 to 36 weeks, right around that 8-month mark most parents describe, is very often the body's version of triggering the emergency exit before things get worse, not after. And this is where the neuroscience gets genuinely remarkable. A baby born at 8 months isn't behind schedule in some broken way. Their brain is still doing the exact same wiring it would have done inside the womb, building neural connections, laying down the circuits for breathing, sucking, temperature regulation, sleep cycles, just now doing it outside, in open air, surrounded by light and sound and touch it wasn't quite built to handle yet. That's part of why late preterm babies often need extra skin-to-skin contact, why their sleep patterns look different from a full-term baby's, why they startle more easily at noise and light. Their nervous system is finishing a job that most babies finish in the dark, muffled, cushioned world of the uterus, except now it's finishing that job while hearing your voice for the very first time weeks earlier than it expected to.
There's also a piece of the story that rarely makes it into parenting books. This isn't unique to humans. Other species run the same trade-off, just tuned differently. Marsupials, like kangaroos, take the born early strategy to the extreme. A baby kangaroo is born after only about a month of pregnancy, essentially a pink, underdeveloped embryo that has to crawl, blind, into its mother's pouch to finish developing outside the womb entirely. Compare that to a baby elephant, which stays inside for nearly 2 years and comes out already able to stand and walk within hours. Humans sit somewhere in the middle of that spectrum, but leaning heavily toward early because of that same head versus hips trade-off. Evolution never optimized human pregnancy for a fixed, ideal length. It optimized it for a flexible range, one that could shift earlier when conditions called for it, without threatening the baby's ability to survive and keep developing outside. An 8-month birth isn't a glitch in that system. It's the system doing exactly the flexible thing it evolved to do. So if you're a parent replaying that early birth in your head, wondering what went wrong, here's the reframe worth sitting with. In the vast majority of cases, nothing went wrong in the way that phrase implies. A signal fired. That signal came from a fully functioning system built over millions of years of evolutionary trial and error, designed to weigh risk on both sides, the risk of staying in and the risk of coming out, and make the call in real time. It's not a perfect system. Sometimes that clock runs ahead of schedule for reasons doctors still can't fully explain, and that uncertainty is real and worth taking seriously with your medical team. But it is a system, not a coin flip. Your baby's body, working through the placenta, was reading signals you couldn't see, and it made a decision the same way it will make thousands of decisions over the next 18 years, with incomplete information, under pressure, trying to land on the outcome that keeps everyone alive. There's a number that puts all of this in perspective. Late preterm births, that 34 to 36 week window, make up roughly 7 out of every 100 births in the United States, and the number has been climbing for decades. That's not a rare medical anomaly happening to a handful of unlucky families. That's millions of babies every single year whose placentas made the same call yours did. And most of those babies go on to hit every milestone right on track. A few weeks of catching up on weight, on sleep regulation, sometimes on feeding, and then the gap closes. The brain that started wiring itself a little earlier than expected keeps wiring itself, using exactly the same blueprint it would have used inside the womb. The environment changed, the plan didn't. So the next time someone asks why your baby came early, you'll know the real answer isn't that something malfunctioned. It's that a countdown written in your own cells, quietly ticked down for months, reading your body, reading the environment, weighing the risk of staying against the risk of leaving. And when it hit 0, your baby made the call to come meet you, not because the clock ran out, because the moment was right. If this kind of story, the hidden biology behind the moments we take for granted, is the kind of thing you want more of, subscribe, because this is exactly what this channel is built around.